Hey everybody, this is Midnight CC. My name is Brian. This video is pretty much on every single thing that went wrong with this M500 build and why I'm stopping everything. Why I'll be going back completely to stock, selling all my parts and just calling it quits with everything. It has nothing to do with the turbo. The turbo is 100% fine. It's a crazy good turbo. Makes great power if you can get it tuned. If you're a GTI, I would say stay away from it. If you're a CC, unless you have a CC that's supported by Maestro, go for it. But do not put this turbo on if you don't have a supported ECU that can be tuned by anybody. So the problem, I pay, I pay Danny all this money, Mabo, all those guys. I pay them the money for the M500, which was about $23.50. I paid $1,300 for that tune, thinking everything was plug and play. I had messaged Danny and all of them, everything was all good, no one expecting any issues. I get the turbo, I install it, goes well. I get the cable shipped from Canada, from Eurodyne. We plug it in and everything, only to find out from Frank as we're trying to tune it that my ECU box code number isn't supported. There's one big issues with CCs compared to GTIs or even Jettas is that CCs were made with a lot more ECU box codes than GTIs were or Jettas were. The main reason why CCs are so hard to tune is because not all these companies could have gotten all those amount of box codes that they made for the CCs. They just made way too many. That's why CCs don't work with Cobb access ports, and with Maestro there's only a handful of supported ECU box numbers. But they just made too many box numbers for this car. So that's the issue with this whole build and owning a CC, is that even when I was IE tuned, they had to custom code everything for me. IE had to custom code all their tunes for my box code because they had never ran into my box code. Even though it's the same CC, even though it's the same engine as a GTI, the issue is supported box codes. If your box code is not supported, you cannot get anything done whatsoever. So I tell that to Frank. He's like, hey man, I don't have Eurodyne. Maestro doesn't support your box code. After he emailed them, Danny's like, don't worry, Frank's gonna take care of you. So Frank tells me, hey man, good news and bad news. Good news is that we can have someone buy, or I can have a guy who could get a supported ECU box code for Maestro for you, but no way Eurodyne is going to be able to tune for that ECU that you have in your car. He's like, pay me $350 and I'll get a guy to flash over the VIN on that ECU. I'll have the mobilizer turned off where it should be a plug and play type of ordeal. Might have to take it to get coded, but it shouldn't have to be that way. So I paid Frank $350, waited 2 weeks to get that ECU over to me. Once we got the ECU and everything, I plugged it into my car. We're about 3 weeks already since I haven't been able to do anything with this car. Haven't been able to really do much with it because the car misfires. The turbo produces too much air. Can't keep up with any of the tunes that I have. So, yeah, we put the ECU in. Car doesn't start. I'm pretty devastated at that point. Pretty frustrated. Frank's telling me, oh, well, you need to go take it to the guy that I told you that is going to have to look at your, box, or not the box code, but look at the ECU to make sure everything is coded properly. So, sorry about that. There was a truck that was going by. So, we have the ECU looked at via VCDS from a mechanic of mine that's been doing this for a long time. He looks at it. Mobilizer is good, it's set off, VIN numbers on. There's nothing to him that doesn't show why the car shouldn't be turning on. There's no issues with the fuel pump or anything like Frank was telling us, because Frank was saying that he believes that the car is not turning on the fuel pump with the new ECU and that we're going to have to try to bypass it and force it. My mechanic said there's no fuel codes for the fuel pump or anything. The fuel pump primes whenever we open the door, even with the ECU, the second one being in. So he tells me that it's the ECU, it's a bad ECU. I tell the situation to my other mechanic, tells me the same thing. What Frank wants me to do is trying to cheat and force the fuel pump to turn on, but at the end of the day, it's the ECU, it's a bad ECU. Told another friend, same thing, it's a bad ECU, it's not the fuel pump. They're trying to put the blame on something else, but it's the ECU that's not working because it should work. So Frank tells me that he wants me to wire the fuel pump directly to the battery and ground it to the chassis so that the fuel pump stays on 100%. There's no way that it could go wrong. If it does go wrong, then it's the ECU to blame, but we did everything that we possibly could to make it work. So I go ahead, I do that. I spend about an hour rewiring everything, connecting a wire straight to the fucking battery, to the fuel pump, grounding it, putting the second ECU in. I turn in the car immediately before the car, like right when I put the key in, not even the key, right when I connect everything, the fuel pump is just on. I'm fucking scared it's gonna blow up, but it's just on, screaming and everything. So I go to try to start the car. Car doesn't start. Car doesn't turn over, nothing. There's power to the car and everything, but whenever I push the brake and the ignition, nothing happens. So I take a video of all this, which I will post in this video for everyone to see what I went through. And I tell Frank, hey man, I did every single thing you told me to. He told me that I wasn't trying hard enough, so I did exactly what he wanted. In the end, I did what he wanted and nothing worked. So this is pretty much the end of everything. I'm gonna get a refund for all my stuff. So we do everything, car doesn't turn on. I tell Frank, because Frank said, hey man, if you do all this and the car still doesn't turn on with the fuel pump being 100% turned on, sending fuel to that new ECU with putting in the new fuses, because he sent me a guy with the CC who had to put new fuses in. I put fuses in exactly how that guy had it. He said, hey man, if none of this can work out, then we'll start the refund process on the stuff. The only downside is that they're not going to refund me for the ECU, so that's $350 out the window for an ECU. They're not going to give me back. They're going to give me back my money on the Eurodyne cable and tune if they see that all the credits are on the cable, which they are. I never used the cable whatsoever, never registered it or put it to my car. The turbo, I'm going to have to take a loss and try to sell it, you know, to whoever will give me the most money for it. But I emailed or messaged Danny. He's like, oh, well, because you put on the car, I can't take it back. Well, you know, all right, if that's how they, you know, want to be, then so be it. You know, that it is what it is. I'll take the loss on that and try to sell the turbo myself. But in all, that's my experience. This is why I'm stopping everything. I'm gonna revert the whole car back to stock. I'll be selling pretty much all the parts. And I'll probably be trying to get out of the CC. I have plans on doing a N54 build on a 135i or 3035i if I can find one. But I'm looking to build something that's gonna be easier, make more power than what it costs to do on this car. I'm sorry guys, I couldn't give you the content you guys were wanting for. I'm sorry I couldn't push more and push the boundaries harder and be faster and show the real potential of this car. It just came down to this, and this isn't an issue with just me. It's an issue with people who have cars that they're trying to tune that aren't just, they can't be supported via the ECU. These are the issues that come with trying to do something that hasn't been done before. And you guys have to understand it. It's not the turbo, it's not this. It has to come down to just sometimes things just can't be supported via the ECU, and if the ECU can't be supported and worked on, nothing can follow, nothing else can progress. So, you know, sorry it's a disappointment to everybody. I tried my hardest. I tried to showcase this car with everything that I could. I felt like I let people down. I feel like I didn't get to do what I wanted to do with this car, what my goals were. But yeah, that's it. I'm done with it. I don't want to deal with this anymore. It's been my birthday month, and all I've done is stress out, not be able to drive my car because it doesn't drive properly with the IE tunes on this M500. But hopefully both my turbos can go to a good home. This CTS KO4X, which works like a champ, and the Mabo M500, which works crazy insane. There's no issues with the turbo. I'm not talking bad about the turbo or anything like that. The only issues were the whole support with trying to get my car to work, the lack of knowledge that Mabotech had and kind of Danny had, and yeah, just kind of leaving me in this situation for me to deal with it, just giving me my money back for the cable, and that's about it. But I hope this video helps out people that are in the same situation or understanding of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And yeah, have a good day.